For years, some of the most sophisticated people in New York City, private bankers, luxury hoteliers, gallery owners, socialites who had seen every kind of money there is, were absolutely certain they were dealing with a European heiress worth 60 million euros. They let her run up enormous bills. They pulled strings for her. Some of them handed her real money. There was just one small problem with all of it: the 60 million euros did not exist. The heiress did not exist. Her name was not even the name she gave. She was a young woman named Anna Sorokin, and the person the city fell for, Anna Delvey, was a character she built from nothing but confidence, cash tips, and the one thing she understood better than any banker in the room: that a city obsessed with wealth will do almost anything to avoid being the person who questions someone rich. She was eventually convicted, in a New York courtroom, of grand larceny and theft of services. But to understand how a woman with no fortune nearly walked away with millions, you have to watch the machine she built, one gear at a time, because every gear is still turning in scams happening right now. Let's start with the character, because the character was the entire product. Anna Sorokin was born in Russia and raised partly in Germany, a middle-class family, no aristocratic fortune anywhere in sight. But somewhere along the way she grasped a simple, powerful idea, that identity, in the modern world, is mostly performance. So she performed. She swapped her surname for Delvey, a name that sounded expensive and vaguely European, attached to no verifiable family, which was exactly the point. She cultivated a look of effortless wealth, the right designer clothes, the right sunglasses, an air of boredom that only people who have never worried about money can truly fake. And she told a clean, unprovable story. She was a German heiress, waiting on a trust fund worth around 60 million euros, in New York to build something of her own. Notice what makes that story so well engineered. It is glamorous enough to impress, vague enough that no one could easily check it, and it explained everything she was about to do. She wasn't lying, in the eyes of the room. She was simply rich. And rich people, everyone knows, behave strangely. Here is the first gear of her machine, and it is the one most people underestimate. Anna understood that in certain circles, looking rich functions almost exactly like being rich. She spent lavishly and, above all, visibly. She reportedly tipped in crisp $100 bills, handed out like confetti, to doormen, to waiters, to the staff at the boutique hotels she favored. Think about the psychology of that $100 tip. It is not really a tip. It is a broadcast. Every person who receives it, and everyone who sees it happen, files away a single conclusion without ever examining it: this woman has money to burn. And that impression did more work than any document ever could. Because we are trained, deeply, to read wealth from its symbols, the confidence, the cash, the clothes, the address, and to assume the fortune behind them is real. Anna simply bought the symbols directly and skipped the fortune entirely. A few $1,000s in flamboyant spending purchased her something worth far more, a reputation as a woman worth 60 million. That is the oldest trick in the con artist's book: sell the appearance, and let the audience invent the substance. But looking rich alone will only take you so far. The second gear is far more powerful, and it is the one that let her fool genuinely intelligent people: social proof. Here is how it works. The first time someone important accepted Anna as a wealthy heiress, she gained something priceless: not their money, but their endorsement. Because once one respected person treats you as legitimate, everyone around them quietly assumes you have already been vetted. Nobody wants to be the one who rechecks what a trusted friend has already accepted. So Anna worked her way into the right rooms, the art openings, the exclusive dinners, the members-only clubs, and let each acceptance become a stepping stone to the next. A concierge who trusted her introduced her to guests who trusted the concierge. A socialite who befriended her lent her credibility to everyone in that socialite's orbit. She was building a chain, and every link made the next one stronger. This is the terrifying efficiency of social proof: you don't have to convince the whole room. You only have to convince the first person the room already trusts. After that, the room convinces itself. Now, if you're going to pretend to be worth 60 million euros while actually having almost nothing, you need an answer for the inevitable moment when real money is required. This is the third gear, and it is a masterpiece of delay. Anna's fortune was always, perpetually, just about to arrive. A wire transfer had been initiated but was tangled in the machinery of an overseas bank. Her financial advisor in Europe was finalizing the paperwork. The trust was being restructured. There was always a reason the money hadn't landed yet, and every reason sounded exactly like the boring, bureaucratic friction that genuinely wealthy people complain about all the time. That is the genius of it. To a hotel manager, my international wire is delayed again doesn't sound like a scam. It sounds like a rich person's ordinary headache. So they extended her credit. They let the unpaid bill grow. They waited, because surely the heiress was good for it, and every day they waited, they became more invested in believing, because the alternative was admitting they'd been fooled from the start. Her lateness wasn't a weakness in the con. It was a feature, keeping everyone patient while she reached for the real prize. And the real prize was enormous. All of the hotels and dinners and borrowed credibility were, in the end, building toward one audacious move. Anna set out to secure a loan of over $20 million. Her stated plan was to create an exclusive private arts club and foundation bearing her invented name, a glittering members-only world for the cultural elite. To get there, she walked into the offices of real financial institutions and asked them to lend her a fortune against a fortune that did not exist. And this is the moment the whole design reveals itself. To even be taken seriously in that room, she needed everything the earlier gears had manufactured: the flawless heiress persona, the web of respectable people who vouched for her, the plausible story of a trust fund tied up overseas. She had spent years turning a few $1,000s of performance into the credibility required to ask for $20 million. Bankers and lawyers actually engaged with the proposal. Documents were prepared. She came, by some accounts, astonishingly close. A con this size is not a lie told in a moment. It is a reputation, patiently constructed, and then spent all at once on the biggest bet of all. But every long con has the same fatal flaw, and Anna's was simple. Eventually, somewhere, someone asks for real money and it isn't there. The cracks came from the small things. Hotels she couldn't pay began to lock her out and demand what she owed. Checks she deposited to buy herself time turned out to be worthless. And in the episode that would define her downfall in the public eye, she took a friend on a lavish trip to Morocco and, when her cards mysteriously failed again and again, left that friend to cover a bill of tens of thousands of dollars, a friend who, unlike a hotel chain, would not quietly absorb the loss and stay silent. That is the difference that breaks these schemes. Anna had built her entire machine on the con artist's insurance policy, shame. Institutions and embarrassed elites tend to swallow their losses rather than admit publicly that they were fooled. But push the con far enough, hurt enough people, bounce enough checks, and one of them stops caring about looking foolish and starts talking. Investigations opened. The story fell apart in the exact reverse order it was built, and the €60 million heiress was revealed as a young woman with an overdrawn account and a very good costume. So here is what Anna Sorokin really understood, better than the bankers, better than the hoteliers, better than almost anyone she fooled. She grasped that in a world that worships wealth, the appearance of money is a currency all its own, and that most people will never audit a person who seems rich, because doing so feels rude, or paranoid, or beneath them. She didn't really steal euros. She stole belief, and then spent it. And that is the immunization I want to leave you with, because her machine is running right now, in glossier and more digital forms, the flashy founder, the crypto genius, the influencer whose lifestyle is the entire pitch. Watch for the 4 gears every time: a manufactured status you never verify, a chain of people vouching because someone else vouched first, real money that is always just about to arrive, and your own quiet fear of being the rude one who asks the obvious question. The single most powerful thing you can do is be willing to look a little foolish, to ask, and how, exactly, do we know this person has the money? Because the con only works on people too polite to ask. So tell me, have you ever watched someone get away with something purely because they looked the part? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.